there you go. Welcome to Monday morning, March 15th, 2021. Banff National Park news and conditions. And what do we have for you today? Let's start with the weather. Okay, so it gives you an idea of what we're looking at. And second display. Transition. Okay. So, as I look out the window, I see pretty patchy skies, mostly overcast, 90% overcast. And it doesn't look that thick. They're reporting some snow, possible rain here in the town of Banff, which would work out to flurries. Maybe we'll get a few centimeters in the Lake Louise and further north regions. Over the weekend, everything was pretty good. The warmest weekend so far this year. So that's pretty cool. Following tomorrow, more solar, lots of sun, sunny. Wednesday, sunny. And Thursday being the high point. It might see a possible deterioration in the forecast, avalanche forecast, because of parts of Canada because of the solar radiation. Not too sure. We'll talk about that in a minute. There's some confusion on their forecast, I think, and people are kind of wondering where they are, why their forecast is what it is, and we will talk about that. So let's look at Avalanche Canada, and let's get me out of the picture here. So we are in second display. Yeah. You can see things are trending to the good here. So this is our region right in here, the Banff, Yoho, Kootenay, Lake Louise. Let's include Kananaskis because poor old Kananaskis, eh? Poor old provincial government employees. Man, they got it tough, eh? With the this crazy ass government that's in Alberta. You ever seen anything like it? I mean, there's been some crazy governments in Alberta before, but this one is pure crazy. So look at this, eh? Look at the alpines going green, and below is region is this? This is glacier. This is Lake Louise, Banff, Yoho, with low in the alpine, moderate below, and I suspect that's because of the solar heating that's expected. And it's just cooler. There's more wind and it's cooler in the alpine, so less likely to break down those crusts. And crusts are the key thing here. And with the warmer temps, it's probably healing. I don't know that it's actually healing, but the mid-pack is probably not degenerating too much overall. The thing is, I saw here is the, and this is what I think they're talking about, is that they're forecasting for the very worst possible scenario. And that being that if there's lots of solar effect, that those crusts can break down and have a huge effect on the stability of the snowpack. And so they pretty much have to assume the worst. So in the case of, I was out yesterday in the Bow Summit area, and we didn't get as much sun as forecasted by the weather reports. So so actually the stability was probably pretty good. It didn't go down to the considerable range. It's probably pretty low in the terrain. So avalanches weren't a big concern, although cornices were. There was quite a bit of cornice buildup, and there was an awful lot of debris. Well, not a lot of debris. There was some older cornice debris. The snow definitely wasn't avalanche debris. We were skiing up through. So much for that. Ice climbers, ran into a couple the other day, climbing in kind of the weirdest place, Crowfoot Glacier. So yeah, Crowfoot Glacier, and it was, I'm not too sure. But let's take a look at where I was yesterday, and I'll give you an idea. This is going to hold true, like sort of the aspects and stuff for a little while until it gets an awful lot warmer and you start to get a melt freeze crust on all aspects. We were in this region here, which is Crowfoot Glacier, right around in here. So this is Lake Louise, take Highway 93 north. This is Bow Lake. This is the Crowfoot Glacier viewpoint. We weren't actually at Crowfoot Glacier. We parked at the Crowfoot Glacier viewpoint right here. So you can see. And where we went off, we went straight across the lake and then up onto these slopes right here. And generally, if we look at the compass, do we have the compass handy? Yeah, hey, let's take a look at, this is, okay, so these are the slopes that we were at. And this is the summer sun. So summer is actually, the sun is quite a bit further to the right than it would be right now. So these shadows probably would extend down and out to here in a, at this time of year, making this significantly cooler than say this aspect right in here, which would be getting sun all day. A couple more pictures since we're here. Let's have a look around. This is what it looks like in the wintertime, and we'll see some more pictures of that right shortly. And when we came up, we stopped up in here, and then we're considering coming down here, but because of the exposure and the aspect, we're guided by a super guide. So there's Crowfoot Glacier. A lot of people used to think this mountain got its name because of the glacier, the tongues of the glacier came down here further, and it looked like a crow's foot, but it was actually named after Chief Crowfoot, probably one of the most noblest men that ever existed in North America, and heartbreaking, the story of his people. This is Bow Lake in the summertime. These are some of the inhabitants of Bow Lake in the winter and summer. And I don't know what that peak is. What is? Oh, that's Crowfoot again too. Yeah, sub peak. And she's pretty. And this is pretty. And this is pretty windy. And there's a close-up telephoto with somebody's thing. So let's get out of this. I am done with this. How do you get out of this? Go like this? Yeah. Alrighty. This is it in the wintertime here. So you can see here, you can see our tracks, or some other people's tracks, namely these people here who are going to shoot for a couloir to the left. We came in here, joined up, and then switched back up to this and came over top of here. This is where we took our skins off and made a decision, or right in here I should say, made a decision whether we were going to ski this line straight behind me that goes behind my back, backstabber line I call it, but we didn't do that. And the reason I'll explain why is, oh, here's the couloir that these guys were going up. So they climbed up. This couloir skiing seems to be a thing with you guys these days, and I guess it's exciting. I can get that. You know, I understand that. You put this into scale. There are the people on this thing. I think this is a guide. I think this was a guided party by the way they reacted with the guy, and just watching how they were managed. So anyhow, they climbed up into this couloir somewhere up into here somewhere, and decided to ski that, which probably was pretty exciting when you got those big rock walls around you. Eh? What was of concern for me are these cornices up here. A lot of them had broken away, but you can see there's still quite prominent cornice here, quite a prominent cornice here. This one here is quite big, doesn't show up that well. And throughout the slopes down in here, go back one, down in through here, there was, you don't see it very well, but there is cornice debris periodically in through here. Cornices will come down. They can take a long free fall. If they're quite hard, they can hit these slopes here. And this is one of the things that Parks Canada has been warning about is the falling of these things on these things. And if you're in here, even though this is bomber and this is bomber, all it takes is a bomb to make them unbomber. And then this bomb could step down, accumulate enough weight, maybe bring some of this slope with it and ride out to the mid run out here. So be concerned or be aware of that right now, okay? So yeah, we were looking at this and we were considering skiing this. And then our super guide, which was with us, this one here, Lisa Paulson. I don't know if you know her, but anyhow. She was out with her daughters, teaching her daughters to ski tour. But really, I think you can see they're out front, the kids. She's just getting them to break trail. So, like any good mother or a good parent, I mean, why have kids if you can't get them to break trail, right? I mean, what's the point of having kids if they ain't gonna haul water and break trail when the trail needs a breaking? So they continued on up. There's Lisa and Avon. A lot of you guys remember Avon, right? From Spain when she made her first appearance on this channel. She was 6 months old. Well, she's more than 6 months now. She's kicking ass and taking names these days. And there's Nahani up lead, setting track now. We're breaking off. We broke off the other group's tracks and they're kicking steps. There they are. The girls getting set to jet. Nahani, Lisa Paulson, super guide. As Nahani says, badass role model for all women in the Bow Valley or any women anywhere. And there they are after a successful ski. Yeah, a really fun day out with these guys. So it was good. It was really good. So anyhow, yeah. Lots of concern. I think mostly that solar aspect or south aspects in solar are going to be the main issue for the next couple of weeks. Probably be right through till spring break. There'll be some other stuff happening too. Ice climbers, you guys, you've got a very short window left before things really start to deteriorate. Solar warming is, I can't say it enough. The other thing too, our point releases are soon going to be taking into effect. So we're not going to get a melt freeze overnight to a certain point, and or it's not going to freeze really, really super solid because the lows now are getting to like, in the evenings in the Banff area is around -5 at the most, and it'll slowly start to get warmer. As you don't get that freeze, that crust isn't going to hold up. This holds true for skiers too. So it isn't just how hot it's going to be through the day. Take into consideration how much frost got into the snowpack overnight and how long do you think that frost is going to last. Okay. Can't emphasize that enough, you guys. So I know most of you kind of are lazy and you just want to have your coffee and stop at Tim Hortons and you're just out to socialize and chat. Those of you that actually are trying to get up higher should start a lot earlier than you would normally, say a few weeks ago or something, because things are going to deteriorate rapidly. Hence, once that frost is out of the snow, okay, so you'll go from whatever, pretty, like mod, low, mod, And this is exactly what Parks Canada is talking about. Right? So let's take this. Let's take me out of the picture. And let's transition. Oh, hey, that looks good, doesn't it? But that's not where I wanted to go. This is the prairies. I love the prairies. You know, I'm a prairie boy by heart. Yeah. Many, many generations of mixed bloods out in that country out there. But I regress. What I mean to say is, take this here. Let's transition into here. So Parks Canada, if you don't know about it, have a Facebook page. And what do they call it? Parks Mountain Safety at Parks Mountain Safety Government Organization. And look, they even got some French in there. How about that? Anyhow, there's no big surprise there. What they are saying is that although they are forecasting for the worst possible scenario. So when we were on that big slope the other day, yesterday, this one here, this one here, they were expecting a lot more solar coverage, but you can see the clouds in here. As we got up in higher, this cloud cover built up, and so it got thicker, and so we didn't get as much solar radiation as the weather reports were anticipating. Parks had to assume that there were going to be clear skies, and given the temperatures were going to be in the mid or early teens, just like my teenager. And you know how teenagers are, unpredictable and dangerous if left on their own. So they have to predict that, you know, this was going to get baked and that this frost would break down and maybe affect the frost below the little bit of snow cover that was on top of that. Which, understandably, that's what they have to predict for. So even though, you know, they were going, I think, considerable in the afternoon sort of thing, and never really got to there. So you never felt that, you know, feeling like, oh, maybe I should think about this, or maybe I should do just a shallow pit and have a look at that. I never had that feeling at all. But then I was kind of with Super Warden. And then, and we thought about skiing this, but over the last temperature crust, you can feel when you're coming up this way, anytime you moved into something that had a little more of an aspect to the south, there was a melt freeze, even though it was quite thin, that this probably wasn't so good. So Lisa called it, and we unskinned here, and we just glided straight across there one at a time, two at a time, and dropped this right in here. And man, it was sweet. I'm telling you, it was good skiing. And it was really good. So she called it on that. And then we watched another group come up behind us. And it was not, you could tell it was survival skiing because they're doing these big wide turns and you know how the thighs are burning and that sort of thing. So that crust, now that sort of thing is going to be predominant throughout the next few weeks. Unless something changes dramatically, and it's not in the weather forecast to do so. So if you can even get a hint, like all this was just a hint. You can see the shadow in there for this time of year. There's a lot more shadow. In the summertime, this would be baked by this time of day. But in this, we still got a little bit of a hint and not a lot of energy in the early morning sun. So anything that's got even a hint of east or northeast to it, or even east north, east northeast, northeast, I don't know, whatever. Anyhow, take any of this stuff in here, and so we dropped this basin in here, and we had killer skiing right to the bottom. So if you need a avalanche course, call Lisa at mountainguide.com. That was pretty sweet skiing. The other things that were going on at the time were, I don't know if I'm going to give them a plug. All right. So you can see here, let's have a look-see. What? Let's transition into here. So you can see some skiers up in here. This is the group that went into this couloir here. And like I said, I think they're A. They were a guided group. So yeah, they're boot packing up that sucker. They got their skis on their back, as you can see in there. And yeah, the skiing will look pretty darn good. I wonder if this is the ice fall that Sam Leitner and PA were doing. This little ice climb in there. Remember that Leitner wanted to do a first ascent, get his name in the book or something. I don't know why, but him and PA did something in this region. Here we're looking at this is Crowfoot Glades, and this aspect would probably be really, really good right now. Anything in these glades, this gladed tree skiing. The actual Crowfoot Glacier is right over here in this basin in here. We don't see that. This is Bow Peak. So I was talking to a guy who went onto the opposite side over to, we don't really get, I think I have a picture of it in this area here. Well, he was skiing up over here, or he went in there because of a level 3 mod going on. That's the CA Avalanche course set up for industrial level users. Just to gather some information for the course next week. And anything on this aspect is going to be so baked as to be unskiable. And this is sort of a southwest aspect. All right, so don't expect that to be good. The snowpack itself will be cooked, quite bomber in the morning, but you can also expect things like above you, like point releases. You notice that this doesn't have a lot of cornice buildup on it. It might have on the other side, but predominant winds come from the west. Whereas the one that we just saw back here does have, and this is an east aspect, predominant winds are from the west, and you can see these monster cornices up in here. Right, so that's throughout the mountain range. These cornices have built quite up, and then we had high humidity, high winds, and lots of snow for transport. So cornices are extremely large for this time of year. They're always large, but they built up quite a bit. And so cornice debris in these regions in here and in here was around. Did we get a chance to see that? So here, you can see it here too. Cornice, bang. And that's a thing that Parks is beyond, because these slopes are actually pretty bomber, but that's a bomb. So even if it's bomber and it gets bombed, it could be less bomber. And that could go down, start a slide, pick up, might step down into here, come down. And even though you're going up in here and you're feeling completely super safe, this is still a concern for you, and it's even though it's kilometers away from where you are. I have spoken, and where the sun now stands, well, screw that. I'm going to just keep on talking because I love to hear myself talk, and y'all know that. That's what you're here for. I think one guy said, I came for the reports, but I stayed for the babbling. And babbling we do have. Photo. And let's go with photos. Did we get some? Oh man, you guys. Is it busy out there, do you think? Huh? So I'm just a new back at it ski tour because I just got so old and feeble I can't ice climb anymore. So we were like cruising along, And I was like, I think last year or the year before I went, last year I guess Peter Harvey, and just the number of cars on the side of the road these days. This kills me. Eh? That's just one parking lot. Um, and all the way down the road. I was like, this is Mosquito Creek, you know? Well, that's a slow day for Mosquito Creek. That's a slow day for Mosquito Creek. You want that one more time? That's a slow day for Mosquito Creek. You probably had enough of that. Yeah, so this is a slow day too for Hector's parking lot. Let's do that. Slow day for Hector. Slow day for Hector. All right, enough of that. Don't have much more. I guess you guys can sign off. Life has been good. So overall, take care. Conditions are pretty good, stellar. Watch for the solar aspects of things, guys. And I don't have any, unless you guys have some questions. I got like a few minutes to answer questions. If anybody wants to know anything, ask any questions, come on. Don't be shy. Do you want to know where babies come from? Hey, I got 4 kids. If I freaking knew, I would tell you. Can somebody tell me? How many sips are in a bottle of wine? For me, probably about 3. Why is the sky blue? Something about passing through the atmosphere, maybe? Something like that. I don't know. No questions, no concerns. No way, no how. Okay, man, I'm signing off. I'll be on here tomorrow with, and maybe a little more organized. So just remember, be safe out there. Ice climbers, watch those solar aspects. Watch out for rockfall. The other thing, too, is even when you go to someplace where you think it's safe, Mr. Ice Climber, I know you guys are so brave and stuff, but there's a lot of melt freeze going on. And once those blocks that have been... What's up, Mike? Hey, buddy. Hey, Justin. Hey, you're welcome, man. I'm digging this. I should have done this years ago. I know. I like the doing the updates, and it gives me something to do, right? And then I get 1 hour a day of peace from my hectic life and people dragging me in 10 different directions. But I was saying, yeah, watch out for the solar. Like, there's a lot of places, even where you think it's safe. Hafner probably still has enough snow cover on there that, you know, boulders aren't going to come roaring down, like off of that slope. But they do, once you lose the snow cover and you get in there, actually a lot of rocks do fall, more than care to. And I pulled crews out of there, our guests out of there early in the day because of that. I ended up going over across to Marble Canyon and lowering into the creek, into the canyon creek. Sort of thing where that big ice, I forget the name of that, Marble Fall, I don't know what it is, seepage anyhow. It's about 10 minutes walk up the canyon. Lowering into there and top roping in there, in this, which is a pretty cool experience for people because they're standing on this frozen ice, water's all the way around them, and they're doing this canyon climbing on the side of the wall. And, it's, you know, it's a pretty, it would be grade 4, but, you know, it's picked out a bit, so I'd say it's grade 3. And so just watch out for the solar, guys, ice climbers. You're going to have point releases happening in midday on South Aspects. I would avoid that. As a rule for skiers and climbers, start early, end early. Get knee crawling drunk, go to bed, and repeat. Do we pick the ice in the morning before the sun or later in the day after the sun hits the ice and cools again? It's not going to cool again, guys. Not in the time that unless you're going to climb in the dark. But no, you just go early and finish early. I don't know how that's going to, things like Polar Circus, like guys who are going for big events like that. I don't know how you can do that. Like you can do the first part in the dark, even in the grade 4 pitch. If you're at first light at that first real pitch, walk around the lower grade 3 pitches, go into that grade 4 thing, catch that at first light, and you might be able to get up and down, but I can't see you getting back. And if you lose the frost on that crossing that slope above the pencil, you might even, we've had times we've had to wait for that to cool, actually. And there's a number of places where we've had to wait for slopes to cool. And that happens in the spring or in summer even, just for it to settle down. But you can't, but it's so touchy at the time that we're on it that, so yeah, no, Riley, I don't know. Or just Riley. I'm guessing your name's Justin. Anyhow, yeah, I would just start early, pick events that you can get off in a reasonable amount of time, and that'll just depend on your personal climbing experience and ability. And choose your objectives well. If anybody's wondering what this picture of the day is behind me, that's Mount Alberta from the top of South Twin. Me and Alberta have had an ongoing battle. I tried to do two winter ascents of it twice. He decided it was a better man. So I decided, you know what, you are the better man. And then I just never have, and I've tried to guide it a couple of times, but there was always freaking out of shape. That, I would get up quite high and then I'd have to pull a pin. I'd always feel bad because we put so much effort into getting to the high camp and getting ready to go for the summit. And it's just too running with water. Even if it's 5, 6, it's so much rock fall on that puppy. Anyhow, guys, I have got to head her and join the real world. So thanks for the questions there, Just Riley. And I'll be here tomorrow at 9:30 a.m. Mountain Standard. And we will see if anything new changes. Changes are going to be slow, but sometimes they can be quite dramatic. Spectacular adventures. The Japanese route is visible. Yes, it is. I think in here, isn't it? This is it right here. And Stephen Song, a young climber from Vancouver, did little off route. Weren't they? This is a standard right here, though, isn't it? This is a standard line, I believe. Maybe I'm wrong. I have been mistaken before, and the Japanese came up the backside, did they not? And then came up through here to the summit and over? I'm not really sure. And they ended up leaving an ice axe, and then the rumor was it was made of solid silver, and the great ice axe award came. Next, the second ascent was by some Americans, and these Americans took the ice axe, and it was broken in its handle. And I remember I was like, that takes an awful lot of gall to steal an ice axe off the summit that doesn't even belong to you, and then take it, and it was sitting in the American Alpine Club museum for like 20 or 30 years. I even phoned them up one day and I said, what the fuck, right? And they were good enough. They realized, that wasn't really a cool thing to do. And they returned the ice axe. So that was decent of them. And now, Stitz, if you want to see it and you're in Jasper, or you're coming up to go climb Robson and you want to see the fabled ice axe, it's in the museum in Jasper. I'm not sure what the name of the museum is. It should be east side is the Japanese route. This is the east side right here. That is almost true north face, right? We see down there, the fabled north face. That's almost a true north face. It almost never sees sunlight. This is the east face right here. Kind of southeast though, isn't it? Southeast. No, buddy, you know what? I tried 2 winter ascents of it. And I tried to guide it twice with clients, and no luck. Maybe this summer, you know what? Maybe I'll have like one more go at it. It's kind of a big walk in there. And it is like, this is from Spectacular Adventures, you guys. This guy obviously knows his shit. He knows what's going on. Spectacular Adventures, where are you from? I'll give you a plug. You know, because why? As many as 10 people might see this forecast or this news and information thing. But it only takes one to, you know, fill out a trip. Yeah, well, I'm gonna take the standard route in right in here, mainly because the anchors are fixed. Probably I'll get up high bivvy here. I don't know if I'm not like a superstar. Never was really. That's kind of like I just had a lot of dumb luck, and now I was young and strong. I used to get away with shit. Okay, guys, Spectacular Adventures out of Calgary, and he's at work right now. Kind of work allows you to sit around and watch YouTube videos. I want a job like, oh, I have that job. Oh, my job's to make YouTube videos. I forgot. Sometimes you forget, you know, when your job is so good, you forget what it is. That's the kind of job you want, right? I had a job like that once. Oh, then it became a job. And then it became drudgery. And then I quit. And then it became fun again. And then I did it for a little while longer. It's like a lot of jobs these days. Yeah, I know. Guys, I want you to check out Spectacular Adventures. Dude knows what he's talking about, obviously. Or at least he knows something about Mount Alberta. Which is more than most people. Most people don't even know where it is. If it didn't have Alberta written on it, they would think it was someplace else. So that's it for today. I'm going over time. Wonder how you can retain these chats on the thing after the fact. Oh, pop out chat. Is that possible? Toggle Sam participants. Hey, I'm still learning the software. Hey, I better get off of this. These things always end up too long. So come for the daily reports. Stick around for the babbling, as some people have told me. The pro, it's not that hard, eh? Like the climbing doesn't look that hard, but when I was there, it was wet as hell. Most of the pro was things that were like horns and stuff that were wrapped. They had old slings around it and things. I had whatever, like half a dozen or 8 pins with me. Pitons or pins or pitons. But, yeah, and then, small racket cams and some long slings and things like that. But I really didn't place a lot. I don't think I might have placed 1 or 2 cams to the high point where we got, which was 2 pitches or 3 pitches from, those are full length pitches, not your freaking sport climber pitches, which are like half ropes at best. So I didn't really nail a lot of stuff going up there, but on the last little bit, the anchors are fixed. Probably just old pins and stuff, or rope around boulders off the summit and stuff, from what I understand. But if you want, maybe get hold of Mark Clausen. I know that he's climbed it, and he's got a guiding company. So, yeah, I can't tell you, but I mean, the climbing wasn't very hard. It's more like scrambling, like full on, grade 4 or 4+ scrambling sort of thing. But it wasn't like anything that would more of your hazard is just the rock fall and how loose that rock is, right? Because it doesn't get a lot of travel. And so that is watching your second and stuff like that, and just being sure to test your holds. Don't go out from the West Coast and start laying back off of shit. Push down on everything, make sure your stuff is good. He climbed Alberta during winter. I don't think he did, actually. I would have known if Barry climbed Alberta in winter. No, pretty sure he didn't. I tried it twice in winter, and it's a pretty lonely place up there. Golovach and I had a snow cave dug in on the thing, and you know, I was such a noob that I go into the snow cave and there's like this steep slope, like just like whatever, but I've got these nylon, and they don't even have grips of any kind on them, these nylon booty covers, right? So I'm standing out taking a leak out at the edge of the snow cave, and really like, and it's just fucking drops. It just like drops, man. It's like 50-degree slope right at the edge of my toes. And I'm such an idiot. I'm just standing there taking a leak, and it's like looking out into space, and it was just such an easy place to get yourself killed. Like just disappear like that. Like I am not a particularly bright or brilliant climber. I'm just lucky. That's all I've ever been. It would be my life's dream to climb Japanese. You know what? It was my life's dream and almost my life's nightmare, it seems. I'll give you the link in a sec. Yeah, correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think Barry did a winter ascent of Mount Alberta. Done a lot of shit. There's no doubt about that. But have to exit chat. You know UNESCO Mountain School YouTube channel? Yeah, I do. I'll take a look at that. Why don't we have a look at that? I don't know there. I've never checked out Yam's YouTube channel. I was employed there for 9 years. In fact, I'm the idiot that told Dave Begg to buy Yamnuska.com, right? Like an idiot, I should have just bought Yamnuska. That's when I bought mountainguide.com. I should have bought Yamnuska.com at the same time and then sold it back to him for $1 million. Or just piggybacked off of all their advertising, and everybody would go looking for mountainguide.com or Yamnuska.com, and then they'd end up to me, or I would just, whatever, redirect to mountainguide.com. But I didn't do that, so anyhow. Hey, I gotta go, you guys. I'm gonna talk to you tomorrow. Hasta luego. Bye.